Here we go.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody to the January 23rd River Falls City Council meeting. First thing we'll do is stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Christie, can we have a roll call, please?
Bierstead.
Here.
Bjork.
Here.
Carroll. Downing.
Here.
Morissette.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Odine.
Here.
Okay, next I have approval of the minutes from the January 9th meeting.
I move approval. Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of the bills with Mr. Morissette.
Mayor and council, I make a motion, we accept the bill or approve the bills for $5,941,532.85, subject to the comptroller's review.
Second.
First and second, questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next move on to public comments. If there's anybody in the audience has anything like to state, now would be the time. If you're here for the digester, this will be your chance to talk now. So, and everybody will be limited to 2 minutes. And when you have 15 seconds left, Diane here will kindly let you know. So, come on up.
I once again appear before this council on behalf of River Falls' poorest, most destitute residents. As I'm sure you must know, the national problem of homelessness is growing. It's no different in River Falls. And yet, when conversations, attempts at conversations with the city, whether with Mr. Simpson or with Chief Young, or with members of the council about how to better deal with this growing problem, the answer is silence. I get it. You don't want to work with somebody that doesn't take you at your word. But I'm sure you know that the city's ordinance, anti-camping ordinance, is now being challenged for its constitutionality in court. You might also be aware that the Supreme Court will be ruling sometime in this next session whether River Falls homeless residents have the same civil rights as those in the western states. I urge you to join in this conversation. I've attempted to get on the agenda. That's been blocked for over a year now. A couple of individuals on the council have expressed interest in getting me on that agenda, but it's not happened. So I'd encourage those individuals to contact me independently. One of the things that has also come up is, despite the no camping ordinance, there are hundreds of places in River Falls where camping is not made illegal by that ordinance. We don't want that unregulated. We don't want camping to take place anywhere. We would like to talk to the city about how to set something up so it's organized, safe, and doesn't cause more calls to the police. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else have anything?
I'd just like to visit with the council, and I guess there's some town chairman people here, maybe ETC people. Being on the border of
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. Could you please state your name for everybody?
Dick Reinhardt, 346 Steelhead Drive.
Thanks.
Do you want me to write that in too, huh? Okay, I'll do that after I'm done talking. I just wanted to share with the council and the town board about what has transpired out at the Peterson Farm. The project is fantastic. I'm all for it. I've been recycling and doing things since 1980, long before many of you other people even knew about recycling and the things that we do today to take care of our climate and the things that are waste. But what I am very concerned about, and I hope everyone takes heart in what I've got to say, is that finding out about what was going on just across the street from where I live at the 11th hour, many people over there were shocked to find out about it. I am not here to place blame on the city or the township or the ETZ, but I would like all three of you to examine how this came about, that all the people that are involved on Double F around this wonderful project that's going to transpire, we were never really notified where we could at least express our feelings about different things about it. I hope and pray that we do some type of review after it's up and running, that all the things that you are going to permit and okay tonight are going to be observed. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening, and God bless your decisions.
Thank you, Dick. Okay,
Mark Anderson, 2327 Greenwood Valley Drive, River Falls. I just have two questions. The first question is, has anyone brought up the number of trucks coming in and out of the Peterson property? That's the farming, the sand, plus the digester. Was that information given to anybody? The second question, sometime in the future, if the town of River Falls or the Pierce County or state or a combination of them decide they want to change or modify the traffic pattern due to the digester being in there, is that going to be able to happen? That's my two questions.
thank you, Mark.
Good evening. My name is Scott Erickson. I live at W9974 State Road 29, about a quarter mile south of Double F, the intersection that a lot of people are concerned about. A couple of items. Obviously, the anaerobic digester itself, I'm still worried about toxic acids and odors, and also the impact that that's going to have on property values. I think more so. That's the bigger thing. But it's really the issues around the County Highway FF as a primary entrance. And after reviewing some of the documents that came from Vanguard, dated I think on the 16th of January, they offer really no significant changes to the previous request, and they don't address the concerns that your constituents were expressing back in December. Changing the hours, while they're nice, going from 7 to 7, it's great, but that means that 30 trucks a day in and out, that's 12, or every 12 minutes there's a truck. And a third of those are semis, according to the Vanguard document. They go on and I quote, they say to ensure the safety of the existing the existing field road will be upgraded to 2 lanes. What's the purpose of that? It's a private road. I don't understand it. Is that to accommodate additional traffic over a smaller compressed time frame? It certainly doesn't address the safety concerns on Double F. So again, it doesn't address those concerns. They go on, they talked about the vital to their mission. They say to help improve the quality of life, but in fact, it's actually harming the property owners that are on that road. Vanguard agrees in good faith to engage in discussions, et cetera, to participate in the construction of a walking and a bicycle path. That's really, it's a statement that doesn't hold anything at all as far as financial goes. This piece of paper costs more than what they've committed with that. Is it going to happen today? Will it happen before the project begins? Will it happen 6 years, 10 years after the project is going? There's really nothing, no substance to that. The memorandum that came out and went to the council today, so it's dated 1/23, talks about conditions. And I think the very first condition that should always be at the forefront of everybody's mind is do no harm, regardless of whether it's environmental or harm to individuals' properties in the form of livability or a reduction in the values of those properties. And it goes on to talk about that it's got to be based on fact.
That's it, Scott.
These are 15 seconds?
Nope, you've got your time's up.
Sorry, okay. Well, it's based on fact. I'll talk as I'm going away. That there's a lot of research that goes on to say property values will decline as traffic increases. It's well documented, so.
Thank you, Scott. Who's next?
I'm Paul Baselug, and I live at 2327 Aurora Circle. And I want to thank Scott Morset for your feedback to me. And I appreciate that, okay? I am concerned. I raised some concerns with Scott, and I understand there's not a whole lot that seems to be done by the city. But I don't think the township nor the ETZ really took into effect the noise pollution that's going to be created on that road, County FF. My property, my neighbor's property, the value is going to decrease. Doesn't matter. What am I going to do about that? What is Vanguard going to give me? I don't know. Probably nothing. Was there a noise study done? A noise pollution study? No. Was there a traffic enforcement study done? I don't believe so, because I think that the data that they used was from 2021. And I know for sure that there's more traffic there now. The 35-mile-an-hour speed limit can't be enforced, or can it? From what we understand from the county, it can't. So what do we do as concerned citizens? What do we do as taxpayers of the city of River Falls? We're left in a lurch. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Okay, anybody else? Okay, move on to consent agenda. First one is acknowledgement of the following minutes. We have the library board from 11/6 of 23 and 12/4 of 23. We have the River Falls Housing Authority from 11/8 of 23. We have the River Falls Park and Rec Advisory Board from 11/15 of 23. We have the Utility Advisory Board from 10/16 of 23. And we have the West Central Wisconsin Biosolids Facility Commission from 10/4 of 23, 10/19 of 23, 11/14 of 23. And we have the Business Improvement District Board from 10/10 of 23. Next one is a resolution awarding contract to B&M Utility for utility locating services. This is for 1 year in the amount of $99,000 with renewal options. Next one is a resolution recommending approval of bid for wastewater treatment facility dewatering and dryer project to Waukesha Construction Company. This would be in the amount of $8,579,000. Next one is a resolution referring the annexation petition to the Plan Commission for the Haskins and Chafee property. And the last one be a resolution approving city administrator annual performance review process. Does anybody want to pull anything? Otherwise, I'll take a motion on the rest.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion, we approve consent agenda items 2A through F, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next, move on to ordinance resolution. First one's a resolution approving special use permit for unique farming. This is for the anaerobic digester facility at W10322 Highway 29. Our Assistant Community Director, Emily, is going to give us a presentation. Here comes Emily.
Good evening. I'm Emily Shively, the Assistant Director of Community Development for the City of River Falls. This is the return of an item that was brought before Council on December 12th, a special use permit for an anaerobic digester facility on a portion of the Peterson farm. And this is the location here on that map. And it's located in the town of River Falls in the city's extraterritorial zoning district. The extraterritorial zoning district is the area lying outside of the city, and the purpose for the district is to provide for proper zoning and land use control over the area and allow for orderly growth and development. In this area, the Peterson family own the majority of the land around the proposed facility and directly around it, and their contract with Vanguard would result in the land being kept in crops for at least 20 years. Briefly, an anaerobic digester takes manure from the dairy farm, combines it with organic food waste. Bacteria break down the materials and in the process biogas is captured, upgraded, and turned into an energy product. Solids from the process are separated to become animal bedding or compost, and a liquid component becomes fertilizer for application on cropland. So here's how we got to where we are today. The proposal was first submitted to the town last summer. They approved a permit for the facility and recommended that the ETZ committee, the Extraterritorial Zoning Committee, approve a special use permit. The ETZ committee held a public hearing and recommended approval of a permit with conditions. The committee's recommendation was then forwarded to the council and a public hearing was held in December. The primary concern raised at the December 12th public hearing was related to proposed truck traffic on County Highway FF and the associated noise, emissions, and safety concerns, particularly for people walking and biking along that stretch of the roadway. Vanguard submitted a letter clarifying some points regarding deliveries to the facility. They've stated that approximately 1/3 of the anticipated delivery vehicles will be larger tanker trucks, and the balance is comprised of smaller box trucks and smaller liquid hauling trucks. Vanguard has also stated that the delivery hours to the facility will be between the hours of 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. And then Vanguard agrees in good faith to engage in discussions with the county, city, and township to participate in the construction of a walking and bicycle path to address community safety concerns related to bicycle and pedestrian traffic between the driveway and Greenwood Valley Drive to then connect to the city's sidewalk and trail system. It can also be noted that the operations and impact of the facility are being reviewed and regulated by other agencies. The air and water permits for the facility have been issued by the Wisconsin DNR. The stormwater permit is anticipated in February. Last week, the Pierce County granted the driveway permit for the driveway on County Highway FF, and the lagoon permit is pending. Included in your packet is a copy of the conditional use permit issued by the town of River Falls. So I just wanted to highlight a few of the conditions that they are requiring of the facility. So that includes primarily nuisance conditions, making sure that the site is kept orderly, compliance with stormwater, noise and odor standards for the facility, water quality, groundwater quality. And then also the town will be regularly reviewing the operations to make sure that what is being proposed is what actually occurs and to ensure health and safety. In their permit, they require that the first review occur in January of 2025, and that date was set to allow the facility to be up and operating for approximately 6 months. And then every 2 years thereafter, they will be requiring reports to be submitted, and then the town board will be reviewing that. So as I mentioned, the town's conditions focus on nuisance issues and regulatory compliance. So again, they're partners in regulating with us, just like the state agencies are. So the conditions of the City of River Falls extraterritorial zoning and special use permit are focused on land use, as that's the purpose of the ETZ. So these conditions effectively limit the scale and intensity of the operations to what has been proposed. Any changes would need to be reviewed by the town board, the ETZ committee and council, and other permitting agencies. So included in the staff report is additional information about the changes in Wisconsin Act 67 and how those altered how conditional and special uses are evaluated and approved. In contrast to much of the work of the city council, this permit review involves applying the law and policies that are in the ordinance rather than creating policy or changing the parameters of approval. While this does not give the council the leeway available for other actions, it can be noted that the proposal has been reviewed through a public process. The operations of the facility are subject to applicable laws, rules, and performance standards, and multiple regulatory partners are involved in ensuring the operations comply with those regulations. And with that, I will turn it back to you, Mayor.
Okay, thanks, Emily. There's one other thing I had here. When I was reading the ordinance, and that I had a note here about special use permits shall be granted if the applicant can meet or agrees to meet the conditions of the ordinance. Conditions of approval must also be related to the purpose of the ordinance and based on substantial evidence. Denial of a special use permit would need to be based on a finding that the applicant has not provided substantial evidence that the requirements of the ordinance cannot or won't be satisfied. Decisions to deny the special use permit and must also be based on substantial evidence. So we got presentation, so now I'll take a motion on this.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we approve the resolution for the special use permit for unique farming anaerobic digester facility at W10322 Highway 29.
Second.
First and second, questions, comments?
Mr. Mayor, I've got some comments if I
Yep,
could.
yep.
This process is a complex one involving both the special use permit process and the ETZ, so it's really kind of a hybrid that we don't see very often and can be frustrating for people who don't, who are outside of that process. We don't deal with this process frequently either. So it is a little bit of at least for the council, it's a little bit unique. I see we have some town members here and you know, I'm not trying to throw them under the bus, but this was really a town process that started on July 11th. And so the communication and so forth came from them. I think we're getting questioned why we didn't notify people. The first time that we really had any involvement in this was the November 27th ETZ meeting as the process progressed. I did have discussions with staff about the interaction between the city and the town with this process. There was some early communication, but I do think that a better job could have been done communicating to the council some of the concerns, and I believe there's room for improvement there. So I don't want people who have questioned this to think that we're not listening to you, but the process was followed and interaction, there was opportunity for interaction. As I said, the first action the city had to take any action on this was through the ETZ on November 27th. I was present. There were 3 residents present. That's it. There were 3 residents present at that time. Mr. Reinhardt, Mr. Gardner, who had just left, and I can't recall the other person. Oh, it was this gentleman right here. You can't interact at this point, I'm sorry. So at that point, that was an opportunity for people to engage, and there really wasn't much until that December meeting. The council has been very deliberate in this process, and I want to make sure that I give ourselves a little bit of a pat on the back here. We were deliberate in the process. Many of you were here for the public hearing in December where we took no action. And we took no action because we wanted to take a pause and figure out what our options really were. To be clear, I'm supportive of the biodigester. I think it's a needed thing. I don't think it's the only answer, but I think it helps with the whole KFOO problem and some other things. But I also don't like the transportation plan that's proposed. The council is elected to represent the citizens of River Falls. And I believe that we all take, everyone here, including Mr. Carroll, who's not here tonight, I think we take that responsibility very seriously, as demonstrated by the fact that we took a pause to see what staff could help us with. The special use permit is put in place by the state, as Ms. Shively has pointed out. It's a property rights question by the state, and you don't always get what you want, unfortunately. It's not always perfect. But the process is clear, and if the requirements are met, the permit has to be issued. We have no ability to negotiate. This was a quasi-judicial action. We have no room to negotiate and ask for a different path or different hours and so forth. I will recognize that the applicant did make some adjustments and did listen to some of the things that were brought up in the December meeting, the 7 o'clock hour, or the 7 to 7, and the types of trucks. And I will put them on notice that I am very hopeful, and I will take them at their word, that they are going to, in good faith, work to put a path in place. We cannot mandate that. That's not the way that process works. But I'm hopeful, and I expect to see some kind of a path. Finally, my final comment is, if the traffic count exceeds the 30, My expectation is the applicant will find a way to route this out onto 29. I hope that they take that into consideration as time goes on, and that if the application comes back, I will not be in favor, no matter what, if it continues to be on double F, if it exceeds 30. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council, for listening.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Anybody else? Yep.
I had the opportunity to review this with the nonpartisan group we're all part of, Wisconsin Municipality League's legal counsel, Claire Silverman. Much like Councilmember Morissette talked about, this is a quasi-judicial process in the sense where it's not what people probably view it as. We're here discussing the legality of it, not necessarily the advocacy of do we like it or not. And that's probably what makes it very difficult for everyone who's here today. After reviewing the legality of it, they, from what I can tell, meet the requirements of a permit, except for one thing I would question, and I'm gonna need some help from our attorney and our city administrator understanding it a little bit better. But on page 91 of the packet, it talks about how Vanguard Renewables shall use backup signals creating the least offensive noise audible to persons residing near property consistent with legal requirements. For me, and I'm going to need some help understanding this, it says least. Now, I'm looking for some consistency with law. The word least is a vague word to me when I look at it. I need to know numbers. Is there a code enforcement measure, or is there a specific noise level that it's suggesting from the township that would be applied by this permit?
Let's both check our mics. I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I can try and help answer that. So the least offensive noise possible. I'm not aware of any specific legal requirement. There may be some DOT regulations that state a maximum noise level and a minimum noise level, but what the DOT requirement is for backup signals on commercial vehicles, I can't tell you exactly right now what that decibel level is.
So does this meet the legality of all the different layers of law here then?
It would, yes.
That's what I believe too, and I wanted to make sure people understood that this isn't a question of do we want to do this or not. This is a question of legality and what that means in the permitting process itself. And I'm just going to leave that here for now because it looks like it's meeting all the legal parameters that I can see. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, got a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next move on to Comptroller's report. Ms. Odine.
The Comptroller's report for December 2023. General fund revenues through the end of December were $13,358,021, or 104% of total budgeted revenues for the year. Revenues in December included $30,391 from state grants related to bike and pedestrian plan, and $10,612 for public works charges related to sidewalk improvements and snow removal. Expenditures through the end of December were $12,254,301, or 95% of total budgeted expenditures for the year. So as of December 31st, 2023, net revenues over expenditures were $1,103,720. Of course, final revenues and expenditures for fiscal year 2023 are subject to review and revision over the course of the year-end audit process.
Thanks, Diane.
Move to adjourn.
Oh, one thing I'd like to, and maybe Mr. Simpson was going to share, but I'd like to congratulate Jennifer Smith on her promotion to Chief of Staff for the City Administrator. So that's a well-deserved promotion, and I'm happy for Jennifer on that. So, and that's it on my part.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
First and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.